the bill is Senate Bill 260 in the Utah legislature, and the bill is called State Endorsed Digital Identity, and it helps to define how what identity will be in the state and how we can do a digital identity. And I can give you kind of a background for the bill. For example, when a child is born, the state doesn't name the baby. The state endorses the name that the parents give the baby in the issuance of a credential in a birth certificate. And we like to think of an identity the same way for a digital identity that we have. So the individual is responsible for their own identity, but the state can issue a credential, a digital identity credential that's verifiable, that says the state has examined this person's other credentials and is prepared to issue a digital credential saying this person is who they say they are. So it's defining this identity as a as individual right, individually owned, but a state endorsed identity. And I think those principles are really important.
Right. So, with respect to technology, why is this important?
Well, I think we're seeing a really strong need for a digital identity. For example, in our state, we're really concerned about how concerned about the effects of social media and maybe say adult media on our youth. And the legislature's passed a series of laws to try to protect. And one of the things they've said is they want social media companies to do age verification, and if they have a minor, then they need to have a guardian's approval. Well, today our identity infrastructure is not very well set up to do that. What we'd like to have is an identity that everyone has, regardless of age, even for minors. But for minors, that digital identity would be tied through guardianship to a parent or their guardian. And so we're looking technically to be able to do guardianship, to be able to do true verification, including online verification of identity. And the old notion of a driver's license as your identity is just really not adequate in the world we find ourselves in, where we need a lot of online and other types of use cases for identity.
Well, speaking of driver's licenses, what is the relationship between this legislation and a mobile driver's license?
Well, a mobile driver's license. So we have a mobile driver's license that we came out with about 3 years ago, and we have, I think, 100,000 or so people who are using it. But the mobile driver's license is basically, think of it as almost like a picture of your driver's license, but on your phone. Now, it does have some additional functionality. So it has selective disclosure. So you can just have someone scan a QR code and it says you're over 18 or over 21. But it doesn't have, for example, the ability to do online verification. It's not a true verifiable digital credential in the sense that it is a cryptographically verifiable identity with who you are. We like our mobile driver's license. We're glad we did it. It was a great first step. But now we realize we need to build on that and create a more robust digital identity that could be used in a number of different cases. And like I say, mobile driver's license, well, if you're a minor and you don't have a driver's license, it's not going to apply to you anyway. But we need a digital identity credential for minors. For example, when someone goes to kindergarten, usually now the parents have to go get a birth certificate to say, I am the guardian of this child. Wouldn't it be great if they already had a digital credential issued by the state that says, this is who the child is and this is who the guardian is? And we think we can address a lot of those fundamental problems through an enhanced digital identity that's even stronger and much better than a mobile driver's license. Also, we want to try to separate, when you go to get your driver's license and say you take a driving test, right? And they're going to look at safety things like, do you look over your shoulder when you change lanes? And can you pass an exam that says you understand the basic laws of driving? those are really important from a public safety perspective to answer the question, are you safe to drive on the roads of the state? And that's where the driver's license comes in. But none of those are really relevant to your identity, right? And so it's really an accident of history that the driver's license in every state has become the primary form of identity credential. And we'd really like to separate that so that you have an identity credential, regardless of whether you're a driver or not, and you have and then you have a driver's license that says yes, you're safe to drive on the roads in the state. Now, we do have a state identity also issued by the driver's license division, and so we need to work through things like governance and where will the digital identity be issued? Will it be issued through the driver's license division? Will there be a new agency created? How will that be managed? And so this bill that was passed that we referenced earlier is a first step towards helping the state move in the direction of both governance and technology solution for our future identity.